Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, May 19th. If you have found this podcast, you're at an open door where we gather to discuss all things spiritual. This morning, we are focusing on A Course in Miracles, which we do every Tuesday. We take a lesson from A Course in Miracles. We've been doing this now. We are on lesson 101. And we've been doing this, therefore, for 101 weeks. That's how many meetings we have had. So pat yourself on the back for attending all of these because it's really a sign of devotion and dedication. And one of the things that, if you're taking the Inner Ramana class with Cindy, one of the things that the Inner Ramana talks about, and of course in Miracles talks about it too, but it's how important devotion is and desire is to awakening. And so if you've joined us since the beginning, you've made 101 meetings, and recognize your own devotion and give yourself some gratitude for that. So good morning, everybody. Now that that official announcement is done. Cindy's been up since 3:30 this morning, and she's done what I think, I was talking to her about how sometimes I have the feeling of all of us, Cindy, Amy, Alka, Richard, Lonnie, Sandra, Alice, Jerry, William and Dago, May, Tony, Livy, Carrie, and anyone else who joins us, Patricia, being part of an abbey or a monastery. And the image of waking up at 3:30 in the morning, which seems to me, but if you wake up together and you just go and sit together in spirit and you sing and you chant and you walk, how beautiful that would be, how fulfilling and reassuring and what's the word? What resilience that would build in my spirit and me for us to all do that together. And that's what came to me. So here we are at 10 o'clock, and we're going to do our own form of that today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the lesson. I don't know if we'll do a meditation or not. We'll see how that goes. But I just had some thoughts about this, and what I'd like to do this morning is read a little bit from the blue book, the traditional book, and then I'm going to read a little bit from my lesson. Partly because I think what the training wheels lesson does is it focuses on the idea of perfection as it relates to unity and unity consciousness. And the blue book, the Foundation for Inner Peace book, really focuses on the idea of sin and salvation, of being innocent. So we have these two different emphases that I just want to point out as they relate to the idea of perfection. So the lesson for today in the blue book, and you can read in it if you want to, I'm going to skip around, but it's up to you. It starts out with, today we will continue with the theme of happiness. So I just want to read what the last 5 lessons' themes have been, and then we can just think about them as they relate to perfection and happiness. So lesson 95 says, I am one self united with my Creator. I am one self united with my Creator. And that speaks to me of perfection. I am one self united with my Creator. And then lesson 96 says, salvation comes from my one self. So I am one self with my Creator. As the guides say, I am in, I am with, and I am as God. So I am one self united with my Creator. And then we build on that to salvation comes from my one self. And salvation is the recognition of unity consciousness. It's the recognition that there is no separation, or of course says sin. No sin, no separation. And my salvation comes from the recognition of my one self. And then we have I am spirit in lesson 97, which tells us what our one self is, truly is. I am spirit. And then 98 takes that foundation and then adds a level of what might appear to be agreement. It is agreement. I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. I will accept it. I will accept the offering that is given to me. And that's 98. And then 99 takes it up a step further and says, salvation is my only function here. The recognition that I am one with my source and that there is no separation and no sin, no wrong, no guilt, none of that negativity. And that's my one function. That's it. That's all I have to do. And then 100 is that my part is essential. So once I accept it and I take that on, I agree to it, now I'm told it's essential. If I was told that in the lesson before, it might have seemed like too much responsibility. But once I say I accept it, then I also learn that it's essential. And I go, okay, I can do that. And then lesson 101 builds on that. Today we will continue with the theme of happiness. This is a key idea in understanding what salvation means. You still believe that salvation means asking for penance for your sins. This is not so. You must think it so while you believe that sin is real and that God's only Son can sin. God's will for you is perfect happiness because there is no sin and suffering is causeless. Joy is just and pain is but the sign that you have misunderstood yourself. Fear is not the will of God. So that first part of it is suffering has no cause. You are sinless. Let all guilt go. Let it go. Be compassionate with yourself and rest in God. And then training wheels, lesson 101. God's will for me is perfect happiness. And the key word here is perfect. It's perfect. Can you see by its very nature that perfection is all inclusive? By its very nature, perfection is all inclusive because it implies total harmony in complete wholeness. Total harmony in complete wholeness. And can you also see that perfection and perfect happiness means that I don't get to be happy at your expense? God's will for me is perfect happiness, but I don't get to be happy at your expense. Can you see also that I cannot treat happiness as a scarce resource to be guarded at all times? perfect happiness cannot be a scarce resource to be guarded. It has to be shared, or it's not whole and it's not perfect. So in the unity consciousness that is source, these are all just words, of course. My perfect happiness must grow in direct proportion to yours, which becomes mine also. Perfection is oneness, and I cannot be happy alone. This understanding would turn the world upside down. And oh, how the past couple of days, this world has attempted to draw me in. And I think about Regis's comment yesterday about the parental figure saying, your presence is annoying me. Your presence is too much for me. And oh, this world says, your presence is too much for me. You cannot exist. Happiness is a scarce resource. An inconvenience to me. Thank you. Your presence is an inconvenience. That's such a small word, isn't it? And yet it digs so deep. It is inconvenient for me to pay taxes. It is inconvenient for me to share in your misery and do something to help you correct it. It is inconvenient for you to march in the street or to complain about something. My perfect happiness is an inner contentment that does not depend upon this world, and it cannot be threatened. My perfect happiness comes from understanding that lack cannot exist because I am one with infinite source. My perfect happiness does not exist at all. Perfect happiness is both freeing and freely available. One does not earn it. It is not withheld as punishment. And you will never be an inconvenience to my perfect happiness. It does not require amends for misbehavior through suffering. What sort of God would knowingly create a world in which sin or inconvenience was real and then go ahead and punish us for it? It knowingly created its own suffering? Is that what we decide God is? Something that knowingly creates its own suffering? Does Source delight in testing us and then punishing us for failure? How many people believe this? So we need to practice loving ourselves. We need to practice feeling the inner happiness that we are. And this lesson asks us to stop literally every hour for 5 minutes and reflect on this lesson, which is God's will for me is perfect happiness. So I've been thinking about this idea of perfection. And I just have a few other things to say about it, and then we'll see where we go. It seems that the level of perfection that we are required to understand here in order to be happy is beyond our capability. You know, I came home yesterday and my husband was out in the back gardening. And earlier in the day, I had decided I was going to repot a plant that had gotten plant bound. So I put it in the cart and took it out of its pot, and it was still in the cart. And my husband loaded up his own stuff and took it out back to do some planting. And I came out just to see what he was up to because I'd been away for a little bit. And I said to him, don't throw this plant away because I'm going to be using it. After I'd said, hi, how you doing? What's going on? Are you having fun? And he's telling me about what he was doing. And he doesn't hear very well. And so he thought I was saying, may I take one of your plants? And his off the cuff response was, no, that's mine. And that was like, God, Regis, I am an inconvenience to my husband. And it just wounded me. I didn't stop then and say, God's will is perfect happiness. No, it wounded me. I mean, the man is losing his hearing, so he didn't hear what I actually said. And then he responded off the cuff with a really impatient comment. And you know, what are we to make about something like that with this lesson? God's will for me is perfect happiness. So I want to just talk about this a little bit because here's the thing about perfect happiness. We are always in God. We are never not in God. It's not possible because God is perfect and whole and holy. So that moment of the other person not hearing and it penetrating my heart, that was perfect happiness, even though it did not feel like it. But when I step back, I can hold that and say, that was a wake up. I was just asleep in that moment. He was asleep in that moment. So what that moment did for me is it builds my resilience and it builds my compassion because God's will for me is perfection. Am I guilty for having it wound my heart? No. Is he guilty for being impatient and not being able to hear? No. You know, this world of linear time where every moment seems separated from another moment gives us the impression that hurt happens here and recovery happens here. Hurt happens here, I sit with it, over time, I learn to forgive it. But when time is now, all things are now, that hurt happens and the recovery happens in the same instance. There's no separation between that. I know the instant that what is said is perfection and my quote unquote forgiveness is automatic and I don't even do it because there's no separate person. So that's the point of today's lesson, is to stop every hour for 5 minutes. and remember that God's will for me is perfect happiness. And this is why this mind training is so important. Because we seem to live in separate moments, separate, discrete moments, where something bad can happen, and then I choose to remember, and I recover, and I become more resilient from that. But the truth is, we never leave perfection. It never happens that we're not perfect or that the other person isn't also. And I was watching a podcast this morning about a near-death experience this woman had. And she is getting ready to come back into her body after just totally devastating her body. And she talks about being in this big spaceship and all these souls are there and she sees them all. And she's told, she says it's like, she goes inside this big grocery store in the spaceship, and she has a grocery cart, and she's picking cereal boxes off the shelf. And each cereal box is a moment in time that she is choosing for herself in order to become more resilient, in order to understand compassion more, in order to help other souls who have chosen to come here and have this experience in the body. And she says she looks at this one cereal box and it says, oh, childhood abuse, sexual trauma. I could handle that. And she puts it in her cart. And she can handle it because she's in the one. She knows she is the one. She is salvation itself. She's never left the one. But even so, when it comes time to go back down and they say, okay, you're going back in the body. She goes, I can't go back in that body. And they say to her, you say that every time. So I am making it through this decision. I trust. This is why we meet and why we gather. I trust that God's will for me is perfect happiness. And I trust that I have agreed to understanding that salvation comes from my one self. And I trust that that is how I practice forgiving myself and the other for forgetting that they came here in order to forget, that they're just fulfilling their function to forget. And that my function is to remember for them. And they'll remember for me in the next time. Just like, and I'm sorry to keep pointing my finger at you, Regis, but just like you pointed out for me yesterday, you were my teacher yesterday, with that one word, inconvenience, that one word that penetrated so deeply into my heart. And so God's will for me is perfect happiness. How could we imagine that we are part of a source that is so all-encompassing and so perfect that it is beyond our imagination, and that we couldn't be perfectly happy? So when I go through my day, and this is my new realization, and I'm working on this experiencing, I am always in perfection, except the moments I'm not. And those moments are getting fewer and fewer and fewer. And I am not expected to go throughout my day always remembering God and always remembering that I am the one. I don't have to remember. That's what I am. And so these brief moments where I seem to forget, those are the only moments that I need to remember what I am in truth. Otherwise, I'm good to go. And that's really 90% of the time. So when I look at this lesson, God's will for me is perfect happiness. When I first read this, I thought, God, I am so far from that. That's why I have to stop every single hour and spend 5 minutes in reflection. And Matt, if that is what floats your boat, go for it. It floated my boat 20-something years ago, and I did that. But now I just need to remember it when I need to remember it. And guess who reminds me that I need to remember? I remind myself because I am oneness. That is what I am. I have agreed. And I remember that I have agreed every time I forget. And that's the perfect happiness. And that's what I have to say. That's my contribution this morning. And I thank you for letting me go on. And I want to open it up now. What is your definition of perfect happiness? How does this work for you? Thank you, Regis. Do you find yourself focusing on the I am innocence part or the I am oneness part or all of it? Good morning, Lonnie.
Yeah, good morning, family.
Good morning.
You know, that word perfect is such a perfect mind fuck for humans. Perfect mind fuck. And so we really take great joy in sitting back and listening to all the perfections. Because what I heard you talk about today was the minute you moved into the recognition or the remembrance of that too is God, then what was there to forgive? What was there to forgive? And so the little things that stood out, I'm really just responding to what you talked about because the things that stood out, there was something you said is I am this unless I'm not. And so what came through my system was no, you are always this
Always.
unless you tell yourself you're not.
Exactly.
But it never changes. God never leaves you because that is not possible. But when we walk around telling ourselves, well, I'm separate and I'm different and I'm special or I'm whatever, it still doesn't mean God is not there. It just means that I am not necessarily allowing myself to acknowledge what I know to be true. You know,
I've agreed to the dream.
the louder they beat the chest, the more they know the truth. This is why we so often, and I find it repeating through my system constantly, that the loudest, sometimes the loudest that we can see and hear the divine is in others' denial of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you do not deny what you know does not exist.
That is true. Now, here's one thing. Just because I recognize that that was perfection with my husband, that does not mean I don't say, you don't talk to me like that. I don't deserve for you to talk to me that way. And I'm going to walk away if you talk to me that way, because that's also my perfection.
And what if him being exactly who he was in that moment and you being exactly who you are in that moment is God having that experience of the two of you being who you are in that moment in its perfection?
Absolute. Thank you, Lonnie.
Love you all.
Love you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. As always. Dago and then William.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
So happy to be here. I love what you shared, and your vulnerability and honesty. So thank you so much. And, I love these teachings, and I love the teachings from Ramana so much because, life happens, shit happens, stuff happens. I get angry or whatever. And that's why I love like the teachings from Ramana where he just says, just stop, just stop, just stop, get quiet. And for me, I put my hand on my heart and I tell God exactly how I feel. I tell God off. I completely tell God, F you, what the hell is going on? How come this is happening? I don't get it. What's going on? And it may take 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know. But then once I get it out, then I'm calm and I'm like, okay, God, I don't know what to do. Show me what to do because I don't know. And for me, God always comes to me with so much love. It just takes my breath away. And I just do what God says, and it's like perfect. And I'm just like speechless, like, wow. So yeah, that's why I love these teachings so much, and the teachings from Ramana. Um, and I love being together because we're supporting each other. So I love that too. So thank you so much.
You know what you do every time in Dago is the response happens, but then you always say, I don't know what to do, God. Tell me what to do, which opens the whole door. As soon as you say that, the door is open. And it's so easy to do that, and yet we forget to do it. Think, oh, I've got to handle this on my own. So thank you for always, always reminding us of that in such a beautiful way. Hmm. All right, William and then Regis.
I just keep listening to the word simple. I just love the words that come to me. One, that word one, it means so much more to me than God. I'm just listening to what moves the needle here. I've had the past week several dreams. One phrase keeps coming. I love everything. I love everything. I love everything. Kept repeating that in my dream over and over and over. And then last night, I am the way I am. And what that means for me is I am awareness. I am aware. I am awareing. I am here now. Just simple, simple, simple. Now, I just love these simple words that seem to resonate throughout my whole being. And my cousin, that I am the way I am, this joyful, full, loving, honest person that's so devoted to Jesus loves me. This I know, the Bible tells me so. That's his direct line, not mine necessarily, but there's some that directness is there in me too. It's that there's something I know. The Bible study group that I'm in, wow, what a good, it's to see what I'm not, see what I'm not, see what I'm not. Oh, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. So I just find it easier to dismiss the words, the words, the words, the words are here, unless they really resonate inside. And it's just, that's what I see. I see, and I hear the words of Helen Hamilton. I see, I see, I see, I see. Certain things just resonate, just resonate. So whatever that word is, stop, now, be, I am. So I just wanted to share that because it's so simple and I don't have to do anything. I don't have to know anything. I don't have to do. When I'm there, I'm there. I'm here. I'm here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Regis, good morning.
Good morning. So this, Amy, you really reinforcing this lesson from yesterday and today. I thank you for that. It's powerful. Got me feeling all watery. uh, so happiness is what I call my North Star. Uh, I keep it real simple with my approach to spiritual teachings and awakening, but because happiness is my North Star. I might not know everything or understand everything, but I do know when I'm happy and when I'm not. And so uh, when I realize I'm not happy, uh, I acknowledge that and we find our way back to happiness. Uh, my birthday lesson is lesson 235. And the second line of that lesson says, I need but keep in mind my Father's will for me is only happiness, to find that only happiness has come. And what I have learned that works for me with not determining anything about happiness except that I agree with God. You said your will for me is happiness, and I agree. And that agreement causes everything else to surface. That may be happiness is now, but am I experiencing it? Am I feeling it? It's important for me to feel happy, not just to know that it exists, but am I engaged with it? Is it engaged with me? So whatever blocks to that just kind of reveal themselves, just like the inconvenience. A couple of weeks ago, I was sitting and the Holy Spirit reminded me, oh, you remember you used to say you wanted a big sister. You always wanted a big sister. I think the first time I saw Lonnie, I thought that's my big sister that I always wanted. but, but since then, as the Holy Spirit reminded me that, okay, where are we going with this? So what was in that? What was in that desire? What was in that statement? That was still from yesterday, that fatherlessness and that motherlessness, that nurturing, that desire to feel protected and not like an inconvenience, uh, that thought a big sister would really take me under her wings and want me and care about me, and I wouldn't be an inconvenience to her. She would want to mother me and hover over me, and that would feel good. And so the Holy Spirit showed me that that sense of deficit, lack of feeling that I was perfectly cared for or nurtured by a parent, that undercurrent has always been there. And if that undercurrent is there in any minute way, it has the potential to undermine any relationship, whether that's with the cashier at the grocery store, whether that's with the business office, the corporate meeting, the spouse, the friend, the neighbor, because in that undercurrent, relationships can be going fine, but they are never enough because you're still wanting someone to be more than they were intended to still be that nurturer, to still be that father, to still be that mother. And the minute they don't, the minute feel that rejection or that inconvenience, then it triggers a response to isolate, to withdraw, to withhold. And as that was revealed, I just simply said, I no longer need to be nurtured. Poof. I agree. I no longer need to be nurtured. And instantly, the next day, every relationship I engaged in was dramatically different. I went into the schools and I thought I was dreaming. I literally thought I was dreaming. I thought I had overslept. I'm still in bed, and I'm dreaming I'm at school because the kids just came in and sat down and were quiet. Later that day, I was like, we need to talk. And everybody just, boom, stopped talking and listened and was sitting up like, what do you have to say, Mr. Regis? Never. It's like, all right, I need you to quiet down. I need everybody. So, um, but see, right in that instant when I said I no longer need to be nurtured or no longer need to be validated or valued, when I went into school the next day, I didn't need kids to act a certain way so I could feel good as a teacher. I didn't need kids to perform a certain way so that the principal would think I'm doing a great job. I didn't need anything. That need was gone. In every engagement I've had since then, and I don't put out a real needy energy on the surface, but it was there.
Mm.
And every relationship has changed because now I only want you to be who you are and what this moment is calling for you to be. So in this happiness, my focus is not on the sin part of to sin or not to sin, to be a sinner or not to be a sinner. I don't really care. You know, I'm kind of over the sin consciousness years behind me. But uh, so it's not what my brother is doing. It's if someone spoke to me a certain way and I got out of happiness, my concern was why? Why does what they say, how they say it, their tone, their words, why does that remove me from the peace and the happiness? What is it in me that needs to be healed, that needs correction? What is in me that's still thirsty for that validation, for that compliment, for that you're not an inconvenience? And Amy, you said something yesterday about somebody that said they said that to their father. Well, when I said that to my mother, I got slapped in the mouth. Because one day, and I never will forget it, we were in the kitchen. I had a cousin that was visiting from St. Louis. We were in Memphis. And they were just talking about how inconvenient the kids were. And I, and I didn't even, I was speaking from a logical place. I wasn't even trying to be smart. I was just like, that's just like the logic in me. Like, well, we didn't ask to be born. Pop, you know. So, it's so, so but as you talked about it, I can now even understand why I even responded that way because that was just I'm tired of feeling like an inconvenience. I'm tired of that message. Stop talking like that. You know. And so but as now all of this is coming up the hill because as I agree with happiness, anything that's impeding happiness in every moment is being healed. So if the person if I'm out in retail and the person looks over me and picks the next person, I don't have to I don't have to be out of happiness. Their picking over me doesn't invalidate me. Them choosing the other person before they chose me don't make me less. Don't make me an inconvenient, don't make me unworthy. It doesn't. That's just lifing. you know. And I'm just allowing as I agree with happiness, as I agree with you, God, I don't know how this works. But my lesson says all I need to do is remember I don't need to do anything. I don't need to figure anything out. All I need to do is remember God's will for me is happiness, to find that only happiness has come. And in that quiet, the happiness will come. The release from whatever has us bound up on the inside and in knots will come. And it will come directly from the Holy Spirit, not from words in a book, not from somebody else's quote or somebody else's experience, but that in me will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. Thank you.
Thank you, Regis. You know, I think we're all in a relationship. I think being in a relationship with another person that you see every day is it's such a great teaching. You know, it really forces you to confront that whole happiness thing, and you're 100% on the money. No one can take my happiness from me unless I give it to them. So I really appreciate that, Regis. So many things coming up here. Lonnie, good morning.
Just want to say thank you for that. And that's not what I just want to say, but I do want to say that was a beautiful teaching, Regis. A
Hmm.
beautiful teaching. You know, I was sitting here thinking about this word perfection really kind of makes me chew. And then I sat here and recognized that as I looked back over what no longer exists, that for until people started wanting to know more about us, we knew the perfection. How we were was how we were. But when we started listening outside in the church that we were in, for instance, the messages sent were that we were sin, that we were of the devil, that we existed how we were, meant that we were somehow possessed by evil and the devil. And in these last minutes, as I listened, there was also this background thing of seeing how, for a long time, that became the underbelly stitching of this being. So it's taken a lot to move out of that. And I just sat here and I was asking in my system, when did that start to, because I had started hearing it as a child. When did that start to change or to be questioned? And I realized that one of the worst moments with my mother that I had ever felt like I experienced was probably one of the most beneficial. When we were 12 years old, I can still remember exactly the turn we were making on the road. She was talking about something that was happening in life, the inconvenience of life. And I know she wasn't thinking, or maybe she was, but she says to us, if abortion had been legal when you were born, you wouldn't even be here. And I've walked with that as one of the worst moments ever with her. Something horrible that she could say. But I recognize too that that's where the questioning started. Then what am I doing here?
Mm.
And as I walked forward in this configuration, the thing that made the big difference was when it finally got through that God doesn't make mistakes and that therefore we are not a mistake. And it made this being curious and more curious about how we exist and about why we exist. And that we are not a sin born out of some horrible act. That is happiness for us, knowing that regardless of what happened to the physical being, God was there the entire time, having that experience as this being. That is happiness. That is freedom. That no matter what physically happened, we were untouched. We're here. And holy crap, I can't find a place where love is not in this being. Thanks.
I'm looking at my notes, Lonnie, to try and find something that you said yesterday, and I can't find it. You said something yesterday that I wanted to repeat, but I can't find it right now. So
It'll come back.
we are all, I mean, I'm just in awe of all of us and what great teachers we are. The wisdom in this group is just unbelievable to me. Cindy and then William.
Oh, I don't have a lot of words. I just want to show you one of my coffee mugs. I'm going to pin myself. Can you all see just me?
Yep. No,
You see it?
perfectly perfect.
Imperfectly perfect, but I'm
Oh,
working on
imperfect.
it. Imperfectly perfect, but I'm working on it. It's an anagram number 9, I think, or something. I never studied it, but I just am perfectly enjoying the conversation, and I'm in awe. When I stop and just am aware that we're all here from a couple different countries, 3 different countries at least, and different parts of the US, X number of different time zones. Like, how did we get into this moment having this conversation? More and more, that's become more of my like when the mind starts thinking, I recognize that's the miracle of it. All the conversations are fun and they're doing something and they're happening because they're happening, but just the fact that they're happening, just the fact that we're here, for me, creates this sense of awe and wonder. And just taking the moment to express that. I'll surrender the mic.
I appreciate that. I mean, I started out this by saying that we've done 101 of these lessons. And, you know, I find it sometimes challenging to do this every Tuesday morning because I don't think I have anything new to say. And I'm not sure that I can offer any insights. And I. But the fact that we've gathered here for over 100 days to do these together, it's our togetherness, just as Cindy said, it's just the being together. That's what keeps this interest in this little aspect of source that is moving through this apparent body, is the joy of just being together, right? And the little I that says, I have to perform, I have to do this, I have to do that. I mean, I see it immediately now, and I just turn it over. But it's just, yeah, 4 countries, different time zones. It's really miraculous. And I've said enough. So William and then Patricia, who's in yet another country.
I'm really struck with the words, I need you to be different. I need me to be different. And I have such a feeling of sadness right now. Just being at this wedding of our grandson, of 130 to 150 people there. None of those people would be there if it weren't for my ex-wife and myself having had a son who then had a grandson. And I sense, the sadness that my ex-wife and I could not even speak to each other, could not, did not could, but did not. That the separation is so graphic, all these, how many years this has been, 60 years, that we, none of that would have been there if it had been for us. Then flip it around, because I needed her to be different. I needed me to be different. And then it was exactly the way it was. And the 130 people were there, not because, but they were there. And my sadness is, oh my goodness, couldn't you just picture the joy that could have actually been in addition to the joy that was there already? The people, they weren't bothered by our divorce and not separation. It's just that I know that's there, and I just feel so sadly that I wasn't able. And then at the same time, it's perfect too. It's perfect. So I just wanted to share that because I love feeling the sadness and the joy of understanding that as well. And I love that I don't need you to be different. You're perfect the way you are, and vice versa. So thank you.
One of the things I really appreciate is when we actually share our imperfection, because it's important for us not to think that, we're all realized and that we're all self-aware and that we don't have issues that we have to deal with, many of whom we create ourselves, all of which we create ourselves. And so I really appreciate that, William, because it's always helpful for me to hear from others how they have risen above or found the source of all things within what seems to be a difficult problem or a mistake, a past mistake, and come back and look at it from another perspective. So it's really appreciated. I think it's really valuable.
And what I've noticed more and more lately is that I'm seeing a moment in everyone, whether they are dancing and that's who they are, or whether they're laughing, that's who I'm seeing. It's that we show up in those moments of presence, presence, presence. And I just look for that, and oh, there it is. Oh, there it is again. Oh, here it is again. Oh, here it is again. And I feel that point of connection. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna let Patricia close us out, but before we do this, I just want to read what Regis wrote in the chat. It's, God in his mercy wills that I be saved. You could say source or the all that is in mercy wills that I be saved. I need but look upon all things that seem to hurt me, and with perfect certainty assure myself, God wills that I be saved from this, and merely watch them disappear. I need but keep in mind my Father's will, or the will of the one, for me is only happiness. To find that only happiness has come to me. And I need but remember that God's love, or source love, surrounds his Son and keeps his sinlessness, his perfection, forever perfect, to be sure that I am saved and safe forever in his arms. I am the Son he loves, and I am saved because God in his mercy wills it so. And Lonnie, this is the current echo in this system. No I in we or us, and the only I in being is the one in the middle holding it together. Its frequency and vibration. This is so. Thank you. Patricia, you're going to close us out.
Thank you, Regis. That was beautiful. And thank you all. I love what Lonnie says. Good morning, family.
I do.
Wonderful. Big hug. I was thinking about, what's been resonating for me, and it keeps resonating, is that it's becoming more experiential.
for us as a family. And the experience of here we are, we're all wounded children. I'm a wounded child. But there's a forgiveness that comes in that. I forgive my mother. She was wounded as well. It's in the forgiveness. And in that forgiveness, it's expansive. And it's, as William says, is simple. It's love. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
That's beautiful. That's a perfect way to end it. We're going to gather again here in 1 hour for those of you who can and wish to join us for 12 stepping. Who's leading this morning?
Livy.
Livy. Yay, Livy. All right. All right. Go and be happy. We'll see you soon. Thank you for being here.